everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is week 2 and I'm reporting in about the TBR and all the things going on bookish this week with me. And I'm going to report that I did not read anything that I think was on the TBR at all. I think I completely went off track, off schedule. I can say like the positive is that they were all NetGalley audiobooks, and so the NetGalley challenge got bumped up. So for those of you that don't know, I am partaking in a NetGalley challenge through Traveling Pages Tour, and that means that this month I try and get my percentage of NetGalley's the approved books that I've gotten through them. I try and review as many as I can to get my percentage up. And my percentage started very low, at 13%, and I think that we are at 21% now, so if that helps a little bit. But we will be carrying the TBR from this week that was not done through the end of the month, because it is quite large. Plus we have a book tour I need to tell you about, so we're going to be promoting 2 more a little bit. But we will be carrying the TBR from this week that was not done through the end of the month, because it is quite large. Plus we have a book tour I need to tell you about, so we're going to be promoting 2 more. I did read things off the TBR, I just did not finish them. So here's some of my thoughts initially as I'm starting to read these books. Hag of the Hills by J.T.T. Ryder. I do like this one. So far, the thing that sticks out for me, I haven't read very far, is that they bury people in trees. They would just put them in the trees and let the birds kind of help. And I'm like, huh. And then I told my daughter that, she's like, maybe they don't have dirt there. I just thought that was funny that she said that. I'm sure they had dirt. It was just what they did. So I thought that was interesting. And only warriors or people of note got big, huge mounds put on crossroads to remember them by. So that was interesting. That was a good one for information, I thought. And I am interested in learning more because it is quite intriguing. Tsunami Dolphins and Apes of the Wildfire, both by Justin Morgan. I have not got to read any more of those 2, but they are on my list. I did read Tsunami Dolphins before, but I did not write a review, and it's been long enough where I felt like it really needed a reread, and then that we could all discuss it as if I had never read it, because I did enjoy it. I do remember that, but I do not remember enough of the details, sadly, to be able to talk about it. So that is why we're rereading that book. And then Perfectly Arranged by Leona George. This one is, so far, she's has a business, an organizing business, and it's closing down, and she gets hired by this rich socialite for an emergency kind of cleaning thing. And then she doesn't hear from her for a while, and it's because a family member has passed away. And then she goes to this lady's house who's actually pretty mean. She's potty training a cat. I don't know, it's crazy. Apparently they're supposed to be going on a trip together, but I have not reached that part. So far, it is actually quite a twist of interesting that I didn't see coming. Mrs. Claus and the Evil Elves by Liz Ireland. I have not read any more of this, but like I said from last time, but I'll remind and then let everybody who wasn't here last time know that it is a hilarious book so far. It is about a Mrs. Claus and a Mr. Claus in real time, who they actually do all the North Pole Santa Claus things. And Mrs. Claus invites her friend to come stay with them, and she's just in shock that the reindeer ride actually happened, and the elves are on strike, and she's just wow, you guys are really into cosplay. And that's about as far as I've gotten, but there is a lot of little witty inserts there that I really enjoyed. So I'm looking forward to reading more of that one. That's kind of the one that I'm looking forward to reading the most. I have not read more of The Center's End or The Final Storm, both by Liz Hamilton. They are second books, number 2 books. And I honestly just need to finish them. They're about halfway through both of them, and I just need to sit down and finish them. So The Final Storm, they were on an island. Somebody had a baby. Now, that's all I can say for now, because that's all I know. The Center's End, I know that somebody's packing up to go back and rescue some more people, and it's getting serious, and somebody else in that book is having a baby too. So there's definitely a baby theme going on in both the books, and I'm pretty excited to find out what happens in the end. But those need to be finished because I did not finish them. What I did do with my time was listen to 4 audiobooks from my NetGalley list. So they were a little bit past due, all of these, but I did finish This Vicious Grace, The Monster's Bones, Death by Beach Reads, and I'm about 4 hours from finishing The Bodyguard, which I will have posted a review tonight. And I will have a mini blog up since it wasn't part of the big book chat, because I have about 4 hours left, but I really wanted to get this up and going. So This Vicious Grace, I gave 3 stars. I really did enjoy the story. It was there was a lot of magic in it. There was a lot of myth. There was a lot of rules. There was a lot of not religious undertones, but kind of, yeah, the family ends up donating their daughter to a temple so that she can like help fight a bunch of demons, and she's pretty young at the time that they do this too. And then like her father and her mother and her brother all have some pretty toxic ideas, so you know, it just, the way it plays out is just a little bit whew. But there is some forbidden love. And although I would give it about a 2 on the steamy, because it really just was not steamy. I don't know, it may be considered a young adult. I don't really know. I mean, I found it plenty engaging for myself. So I did enjoy it, but I do think it's a little bit low on the steamy. My only complaint in giving it 3 stars and not 4 or 5 was just the plot. It took a long time. It was a very slow burn. It definitely took time to build up. It took time to explain things. Things were definitely reiterated a few times, and I just would have liked a quicker paced plot myself, so that we could get to more of like the middle grade. Because by the 3rd or 3/4 of the way through the book, I was like, okay, this is the part I've been waiting for. And there is a very, very fun battle scene at the end that I love, how like they kind of reach out and like break the rules and like make it work the way that it needs to work. I really enjoyed that part, and I'm looking forward to the book 2. I will post the name on it here, as I haven't looked it up yet, but that does sound very interesting. I want to see what happens to her and her bodyguard for sure. There's a theme with bodyguards this week, I think. So that was This Vicious Grace. I gave 3 stars. The Monster's Bones, I gave 3 stars as well. It is a very informative read, very studious. So if you know somebody who's into archaeology, who really likes fossils, and who likes the history of how did fossils become, how did they first become sourced, how did people claim credit for it, how did they start indexing, who got to name them, like how did archaeology become a thing, how did dinosaur bones become like a regular thing that people studied and accepted. All of that is in this audiobook, and it is a wonderful listen or read, but it is definitely something to take in parts. I could not sit through the whole thing. I definitely took it in chunks at a time. It's just a lot of information to absorb, but very fascinating to listen to. I know I have a couple dinosaur lovers in this house, and that was kind of why I chose it. It was a little over their heads, but I definitely enjoyed listening to it. Sadly, there was a book that I liked least, and it was Death by Beach Reads, and I just could not get into it. It was just very sporadic. Like, I know she's planning her wedding. The groom doesn't really seem into it. There's some business about a house. People just seemed really attached to this house, like emotionally, like the people who were involved in the mystery or the murder and the people who were involved in the town. And there's definitely some mental health going on in that family that was in the house previously. And it just, honestly, it was just a jumble of a lot of really good ideas, but I did not really feel like there was a timeline that made coherent sense to me. So I gave it 1 star. I did not enjoy the read. I did not really take much away from it. But I mean, if you want a light mystery and you really like, there was like something that stood out was like this really catty banter that all the women in the book have, like this very undertoned, backward handed talk that they do. And I was just like, dang, I wouldn't even talk to those ladies. So that's something that definitely stood out. But for me, it just wasn't a good fit, but definitely somebody else may have loved it. Definitely. So. And then finally, The Bodyguard. And this one I am about 4 hours from finishing, like I said. And this one, it may be my favorite of the week, but I have not finished it, so I cannot say it is too soon. However, it is a male, like, movie star who hires a female bodyguard. But not only did she get hired to protect this superstar, she's competing to get a space to like live away from her horrible ex that she has to work with every day, and she would get 2 years to just have a reprieval and run a project far away from him. But first she has to do well on this project, and then it turns into where she has to be on a ranch with this guy for 2 or 3 weeks for Thanksgiving with his mom who has cancer, and his brother and him are fighting the whole time, and she's playing fake girlfriend. And like, honestly, his compliments are not very nice, so I'm not quite sure where we're going with it, but definitely like it's a surprise. And it So I'll be finishing up The Bodyguard tonight and posting that, making 4 reads this week for the NetGalley. I am 53% through that, so I am sure that it's going to happen. And then the NetGalley update, before we had 133 reads. So for the NetGalley challenge statistics, I started out with 132 unread books and at 13%. The first week, which was last Tuesday, I read 2 books off of NetGalley. I added 0. That left me with 130 unread books and at 18%. This week, which is today, Tuesday, I have read 4 books off of NetGalley, added 0, leaving me at 126 titles left to read and review, and we are at 20%. So well on our way for 30% by the end of the year. I think it may be doable. Definitely we won't be at the what they consider the I guess the recommended percentage that they consider is 80. So that means that, like, that's you actually review books. I think that's what they're worried about, is giving it to people who aren't going to review them. I will review them. It just took me a long time. I wasn't expecting to get approved for so many, so I have to clean up my mess, but I love it. It's okay. No worries. And I am looking forward to reading the second of that series as well when it comes out. I'm not sure when it comes out, but I will post the date up here. I will post the picture up there if it's available, and now we all know. I just need to gather the information, and now we have it. Here she be. That's when it's coming out. This is the photo. I'm excited. Aren't you? Me too. I did add 4 audiobooks from NetGalley to the TBR list in case I don't have time to sit down and read. At least I can listen to a book, and then we're taking something off. And it is also helping towards the NetGalley challenge, since that's only going through the end of November, through the Traveling Pages tour anyways. I can always do it on my own, but this is how long they're hosting it for, and I'd really like to give it my best, so here we go. I will be adding the Kimono Tattoo, Bet on It, 4 Ways to Wear a Dress, and The Physicist's Daughter. So those 4 are added to the TBR. And I will go ahead and go through those and kind of give you guys a summary. Since I haven't read them, I'd kind of like to know what they're about too, get a little bit more familiar, and then we can talk about them and kind of see how far I can get by the next Tuesday. So the first book that I have chosen is The Kimono Tattoo by Rebecca Copeland. And here's the synopsis from Amazon. Fictional danger becomes real to an American translator, Ruth Bennett, in this high-octane multicultural thriller. Recently returning to her childhood home in Coyote after losing her job in the United States and her marriage, Ruth was hoping for her job, her new one, would offer a quiet diversion, perhaps even boost her flagging confidence. But she soon finds the storyline in the mysterious novel she's translating is leaking into her everyday life. Fictional characters turn out to be real, and the past catches up with the present in a menacing way. Using her skills as a translator and intimate knowledge of both kimonos and coyote, Ruth is forced to confront a vicious killer along with her own painful family secrets. That sounds very interesting. And I did see this like front and center at Barnes & Noble's last time I was there, and then I was like, oh, that's on my list. So I think it's meant to be. We're meant to read this book. So I think that will be a good read. The next one that I picked is called Bet on It by Jody Slaughter, and it's also on NetGalley, and it is also an audiobook. The first time Audrey Owens encounters the man of her dreams, she's having a panic attack in the frozen food section of a Piggly Wiggly. The second time, he's being introduced to her as her favorite bingo buddy's semi-estranged grandson. From there, all it takes is one game for her to realize that he's definitely going to be a problem. And if there's anything she's already had a surplus of, it's problems. So there's bingo, and then there is 4 Ways to Wear a Dress by Jillian Libby. It says, Millie Ward has been fired again. She is tired of feeling like a failure, and she refuses to blame her ADHD the way her parents always do when she hits one of life's speed bumps. This time she's going to let the speed bump actually slow her down and jump at the chance to visit her best friend, an Instagram influencer, Quincy in California. And she wouldn't mind if that invitation also involved getting closer to Quincy's brother, Petey. Millie's best friend Kate and Bree send her to Peacock Bay with a little black dress they share, giving her the confidence she needs to make the moves. But Peacock Bay is full of mega influencers who have perfect looks, and they have definitely perfected the look of surfer lifestyle. And a minor misunderstanding has Millie joining their ranks. Can Millie in her magic dress convince Petey to face the bay with her, or will Millie's time in California be another misstep on her way to figuring out exactly who she is? So it sounds like a very coming-of-age kind of traveling pants genre, I think. So those all seem like very fun reads. Here's kind of a more serious one, even though it is fiction. It is called The Physicist's Daughter by Mary Ann Evans. It is historical fiction. New Orleans, 1944. Sabotage. That's the word on the factory worker Justine Bryant's mind, as she is repeatedly called to weld machine parts that keep failing with no clear cause. Could someone inside the secret Cabon vision be deliberately undermining the factory-allied war's efforts? Raised by her later parents to think logically, she also can't help wondering just what the oddly shaped carbon gadgets she's assembled day after day have to do with the boats that the factory builds. When the crane unexpectedly crashes to the floor, leaving a woman dead, Justine can no longer ignore her nagging fear that German spies are working within the building trying to put the factory and its workers out of commission. Unable to trust anyone, not the charming men vying for her attention, not her unpleasant boss, and not even the women who work beside her, Justine draws on the legacy of her uncontroversial upbringing to keep her division running and protect the co-workers, her country, and herself from the war that is suddenly very close to home. So that sounds like a very fun read. It says, "Perfection for the fans of Alice Network and Kate Quinn. The physicist's daughter is a fascinating, intelligent World War II home front story." That is the New York Times bestselling author of the Venice Sketchbook. So that seems very, I think we're going to like this one. So those four plus the TBR we had before and the two books that I'm going to tell you about now that we are doing for a book tour for Kate and Bray PA on Instagram. That is for the author and for the book tour. My day is November 28th, so that means that I need to read The Kiss of Sight and Dragon's Blood by that day, as Dragon's Blood is the book that's being kind of featured in the tour, but I didn't read the first one, which was A Kiss of Sight. So I'm going to talk about those two books, and they need to be up by the 28th, but definitely those are going to be more priority. So this weekend when I'm doing my little mini readathon and my reading game, I will be sharing with you guys. We'll have a little mini blog on Sunday that posts about that. But I do want to get these two books done by Monday just to make sure that they're done and they're out of the way and I have plenty of time to talk about. So that leaves us with a total of 13 books left for November, total between the audiobooks, the book tour, and the TBR we had before. So 13 is quite a bit. I am going to shut down adding anything to the TBR just for November because I would like to clear all 13 of those books, have them reviewed, and have them talked about here on the book chat by December 1st. And the book mail that we're going to open next is a Christmas book. I do believe so. So we'll be putting that one on for December 1st and not adding it to this month's TBR, but we are going to open it and talk about it for sure. But first, let's get back to the book tour and talk about the Kiss of Sight and Dragon's Blood for the book tour, and then we'll get to the book mail, and then I think we'll wrap it up because I have lots of reading to do. And I also have a book unhaul, you guys, that I have done. Went through all the shelves, 308 books that I'm going to donate to the little libraries around here and have that book blog up by Thanksgiving. So let me talk about the two books that we're doing for the book tour for Kate and Bray. And here it is called The Kiss of Sight. This is book number 1, just Kiss of Sight. There's no the. Kiss of Sight by Jane Atova. Kiss of Sight, the synopsis from Amazon by Jane Apatova. They say the future is not set in stone, but what if you had the ability to see small glimpses of yours? Would you follow the path laid out before you, or would you try to change things? And what if the path itself, will it satisfy all of your desires to get you to the end result? Helena, a dragon princess of the kingdom of Fernen, was born with a unique gift, an ability to see glimpses of one's future through a kiss. After bestowing this kiss on a high king of Drakah, she saw glimpses of her future. It has been several years since she first saw the vision, and many more have graced her mind since then. She is certain it is time to follow her path, but if she corrects it to do so, or will her vision merely lead her on a wild dragon chase? Will she find her satisfaction and be fulfilled on her road to self-discovery? It sounds like a very kind of coming of age, very fantasyful book. I think this is going to be very enjoyable, and I'm kind of excited to read what book 2 is about because we kind of get to cheat and see what book 2 says too. So here we go. So Dragon Blood, also by Jane Apatova, is book 2, and it looks like both of these books you can get on Kindle Unlimited. They're included. So if you have the Kindle Unlimited membership, you can get them for $0. You can only just have so many checked out at a time. So if you have that and want to read these, go to Amazon. Your Kindle Unlimited will probably get that for you. I am not sponsored. I'm just sharing the information so you can have the book too. So here is the summary to that book. The summary for Dragon Blood by Jane Apatova. You've tamed this dragon with just a touch. When Alistair's path leads him to his fate mate, he vows to do everything in his power to bring her to his home in Orleans, even if that means going against the rules of Drakon and the High King's wishes. It's been years since the last great gathering of various kingdoms of Rakon. With the High King making his appearance, or will he lose himself to the dreams of a rare beauty? What royal secrets will be unveiled, and will the dark forces of the past triumph in keeping Alistair away from his fated mate? In the darkness of the Dun Valley, an ancient evil has been regaining its strength, ever watchful of the dragon and the royals as they plan meticulously their next step to gain more power. All he wants is to control every element in the mortal world, even bringing down the gods above. So it sounds like she does come of age, and then she deals with some dark stuff. I am here for it. That is, like, very Games of Thrones-y. I like it. I like the dragons. We're here. Let's do it. We have just a little bit more time, so I thought we could open up the Christmas book mail that will be going on the TBR for December 1st, 2022. And then we will just hope that we reach the 40 books that I'm supposed to read before the end of the year to reach my 100 books this year for the Goodreads. If not, it's okay. It's fine. I still read so many books and I so enjoyed my time. So let's go ahead and open this, and then we can talk about my unhaul that I did for the books, and I'll give you a little bit of rundown of some of the ones. I pulled a stack of the nicer looking ones to show you kind of what I'm getting rid of and why I'm getting rid of it. I'm not putting any really damaged books into the libraries just because I feel like if people are going to enjoy it, I should really be putting good books into it, and I don't want a damaged book, so we'll just not pass those on. So these are all in really good shape, and it's just really that I don't think that the book would be something I really want to read anymore. At the time I got it, yes, I guess now my interest changed. Let's pass it on. I'm so excited. Well, there's always goodies inside. We'll look at the goodies in a second. But we have Once Upon a Christmas by Jane Porter, and I'm going to go ahead and read the synopsis for you. We're going to hold on to this and not put it on the TBR until December 1st, so it's like on the B string TBR just because it's not the season yet, but we will be putting this on for December. When Kara Roberts' family plans an extra special Christmas to support her after her broken engagement, she wants nothing to do with the holidays. After learning her brother and his wife can't use the cottage vacation they purchased, she impulsively escapes to an English cottage in the Bocollock village of Bakewell, despite having no idea where Bakewell is. Lord Alex Shiborn of Langling Park is no fan of Christmas, but following in his parents' footsteps, he annually donates his impressive 19th century country home to be decorated and opened on December weekend as a community fundraiser. This year, Christmas is complicated by the arrival of a pretty American woman who booked a cottage on his estate, only the cottage is occupied. Forced to take her under his vast roof, he's dismayed when a storm and frozen pipes keep her with him longer than he'd anticipated. Even more worrisome, her presence is making him feel like Christmas for the first time in forever. As these two holiday housemates become friends, is there something more in the Christmas air? Ooh, forced proximity. A little Beauty and the Beast action, right? So then we have a pretty pen from Jane Porter, and we have a pretty book ornament from Jane Porter. She sent a shortbread cookie recipe that we're going to have to try. This is a postcard. This is the Flirting with the Beast. We have Flirting with 50, which is the first one she sent us before, and I have not finished it, about halfway through, and this is book number 2. So that's also something we'll have to talk about later on. Happy holidays, some pretty stationery with a little pajamas and a book. That looks fitting for sure. Thank you so much, Jane Porter, and congratulations on your Christmas book. I will be having a mini blog on Sunday letting you all know how my home readathon is going and how, which book game I picked to kind of keep myself occupied and on task, because definitely that is a problem here. I just get pulled away and it's hard to come back. But this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is for the books. I will come up with some kind of book game to keep us all entertained. And then Sunday, I'll let you know what I have accomplished and kind of share little clips of all the fun. The other bonus will be the book unhaul. Like I said, 308 books going to the little libraries, and I'm hoping to have that posted on Thanksgiving itself. So I'll be driving around filling the book boxes as much as I can. If I cannot put all of them in just the 4, which I don't think that 4 book boxes is going to do it, I will venture outside of my regulars. But I'm really excited to get those first of all, out of my home, so I have more room for new books. Second off, to be able to fill the book boxes, because the last few times I've gone, they've been pretty empty, and it's been a little bit of a bummer. So I think it'll be really fun for people who do like to use them to have so many options, and these ones really are in good shape too. So I know that sometimes I go in there like wet or stained or pages are ripped. I'm like, darn, I really wanted to read it, but it's kind of a bummer. So I'm going to share some of the books I'm putting in the little free libraries. The Christmas Wedding Guest, Susan Mallory. This book, I just don't have a want to really read it. It's cute, but I have a lot of other Christmas books that I really want to read. I just don't think I'm going to have time to read that one. Shot in the Heart, this one. It was very sad just starting out, and I just think it's going to be a heart-wrenching book. And I really just I have a lot of newer books that I know are going to be kind of emotionally wrecking, and I just would rather read those. And this one just seemed like a very sad, I don't like trauma with children, so somebody else can enjoy that. And Mackenzie Clan Christmas. I love the Celtic romances, but like I said, there's some newer ones that I'd like to read instead, so we'll pass that one along. Skipping Christmas. I had 4 copies of this. I do not know why. I've never read this book. I think that people just keep giving it to me. So thank you, but I'm going to pass some of them along. They're going to be regifted. And then The Christmas Train by David Badaki. I just didn't, like, I read the back of it and it just didn't really resonate with me that I wanted to read it. So like I said, I love Christmas books, and I really want to make sure that the list of Christmas books I have is setting the exact Christmas vibe that I would like to set. This is a book of the month that I was given, and The Holdout, I read the synopsis, I wasn't into it. The same with The Maidens, just not my style. I just didn't feel called to read it. The Lucifer Effect. Now normally I would really be into this. This is like how good people become evil. Normally I would really be into these kinds of things, but I'm just kind of burnt out on like the self-help because I just dove really deep into it for the last year or two, and I'm just kind of like, okay, now I'm just tired and I want to read like some romance and some comedy and some travel. So again, The Golden Couple, this is kind of a horror book, I do believe. It didn't sound like my style. The Bitter Orange, same thing. This one, I believe one of my kids picked this up, Sharks in the Time of Saviors. And it has a fun cover, it has a fun color, like it looks really fun. It just didn't resonate. So like I said, like it's a great pile of books. Like, and at the time I was probably picking books by their cover and didn't read the descriptions. I'm reading the descriptions and I'm like, it sounds like a great story. But sometimes dedicating that 5 to 8 hours it takes to read a book, depending on the size, like it's just like, it has a beautiful cover, but is it really the story I want to read? And I get so many great books from you guys and from authors and publishers that I really want to make sure that the books that I'm putting on my TBR are really books that I really do want to read. So I will be passing these along, and I'm very happy that they will be going to somebody who will enjoy them so that I can get to more of the books I want to read and be less stressed looking at all these books that I think I have to read that I will never read. It's going to help everyone. Really hope it makes someone smile, and it's definitely making me smile to like declutter. So I hope everybody has a great week before Thanksgiving, and I will see you guys on Sunday. Thank you for visiting. Thank you for the likes, follows, and shares.